Welcome to the Ambitious Broker Podcast, where elite real estate professionals share their secrets to success, discuss topics impacting their industry, and gain professional development insights. Enjoy today's episode.
So in people who are come along and they're at your stage, they're 10, 12, 15 years, and it's good for you. I mean, you were 6 years to get to some six-figure income, and it's kicked up a lot since then. But that first 6 years, and you actually fought with, do I stay at this or not stay at this?
Yeah,
and so why? I mean, what was it that one made you question it, and then two, brought you back?
Like you said, in the beginning, I didn't know I was able to consistently make this much money. So you don't know.
Insecure.
Yeah. Insecure. So you're always double guessing yourself.
Yeah.
Am I actually going to be productive? Am I going to be a top producer?
Right.
Where's my next client going to come from?
Right.
So you're always double guessing yourself in the beginning. So once you turn that switch and you're like, hey, I'm all in. There's no turning back. There's no other career. Your mindset kind of changes and you're going to be successful. It's just a matter of how much do you want it.
You just run a little scared for a while.
Yeah. That's the truth. Unfortunately, when you're 25, 26 years old, you're 50, 100,000 in debt. You're looking at yourself and you're like, okay, how am I going to get out? What am I going to do? How am I going to be successful?
Right. I found that with the agents that I had throughout the years that if you were able to keep track of the things that you do and be consistent with it, that would always produce something.
Correct.
1 sale, 10 sales, 20 sales, whatever it was. That then if you duplicated it, just try to do the same thing. The hard thing was, like example with me, was farming. So I was a big farmer. I worked for some owners, expires and all that stuff too, but I was farming, it was the core of my business. And so I had a very specific plan. I mailed X amount of times. I door knocked. I did all the things you did, open houses and promotions and stuff like that. And I just did it. And then certain results. And then the following year, it was easy to kind of know what to do because I just duplicated what I did do. And then by the third year, I think is when I realized, there's no chance at this at all. This is all very specific. But I can honestly say that it probably took a couple years before I realized that do this, this happens. Yeah. Do this, this happens. Do this, this happens. And that sense of understanding is when you get control. That's what, for me personally, is when I said, okay, I see that this isn't just all an accident. Yeah. And I'm either lucky or not lucky. It's all purposeful. Yeah. So that you felt the same way.
Yeah. And different things that I do, like be at the office at this time, you know, every day at this time, follow up with this amount of clients.
Yeah.
Where's your listing leads? Who are your buyer leads? How are you going to, what's your process? How are you, what are your steps to get into escrow? So let it be farming, let it be cold calling, let it be referrals, let it be database. It doesn't matter. You have to consistently do it every day and have a plan and know that it's going to pay off. Know that it's going to pay off.
Yeah, I would see there were people who got into real estate and when their primary value proposition for being in real estate was time off. Right?
Not a good reason to
it was the wrong way out. Where I love people, Real estate's a good way to cure yourself of loving people.
Yeah. Real quick, real fast.
But this idea that you would come in every day and you said, I'm going to treat this like if I was an attorney. I get up, go to work. Business, go to work.
If you're not going to treat it that way,
but
you're not going to be successful.
So many people say, I like the flexibility.
Yeah.
And flexibility is like
part-time agent, flexible. I can go on vacations. I don't have to work Mondays or Fridays. Yeah, it's you actually have to work. It's your own business, so there's no 9 to 5.
Right.
It's you work 7 days a week. You never turn it off. You never turn it off. It's just a way. It becomes a way of life.
Right.
And that's, I think, successful people. It's just real estate is their life.
It's a drive, yeah.
Yeah, it's the drive. You want to be successful.
And don't you, when you say that is your life, I mean, don't you feel like it's like saying, I'm a doctor. Okay. I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
That's what I do. Correct. That's who I am. And getting to that moment, and I see that with probably most real estate agents, I don't think they ever get to where they go, this is who I am. This is what I do. They do it.
They have to embrace it.
But but they're not saying.
They don't believe it.
Yeah.
Or they don't,
It's not a commitment.
It's not a commitment. No, real estate 100% is a commitment.
What's the hardest thing in real estate today? And I forget the COVID thing, but I just meant, set that aside and just say, as you just deal with day-to-day real estate now, what's your least favorite thing?
Day-to-day real estate recently, like let's say for this year specifically, has been loans. Specifically when, there's so many different programs out there and there's so many different people doing stuff and putting offers. It's people not being able to get the correct steps pre-approved correctly.
Right.
So that's probably my number one thing that I would say is negative for this year specifically, as when it comes to
lending.
Just lending.
And it's complicated by all the refis. It's huge. There was a very similar market. I think you and I maybe talked about this in the mid 80s when we came off really, really high 18% interest rates in the early. And then all of a sudden, everybody who bought for 4 years was buying at 16, 17, 15% interest rate. And then it went down, all the way down to like 10. and the refi was just crazy. It was similar then. It would take you 90 days to get an appraisal.
Yeah, it's not that, but it doesn't take 90 days, but yeah, it's just
it's harder.
Yeah, we were 30 days escrow. No questions asked. You close in 30 days.
Sure.
No such thing anymore. Right now.
Very difficult.
It just doesn't
And the
exist.
multiple offers. How are you dealing with that?
Multiple offers this year has been almost like the REO market where you see 10 to 20 offers. So I specifically have to build rapport with the listing agent. I have to stand out.
Right.
The way I package my offer, the emails, the text messages, the calls I make are very specific. And they're all designed to build rapport with the listing agent.
Right.
If you don't know the listing agent, you don't build rapport with the listing agent, you might as well play the lotto and not put an offer in.
Right.
Because there's no way you're going to get that property accepted.
Yeah, I think today, I always say this, and you've heard it through all the crap that I say, is that, we sell credibility and everything. And as a buyer today, you have to sell certainty. And I think you're pretty good at saying to people, one, I'm good when you're presenting offers.
Yeah.
First of all, understand you can trust me.
Correct. That's first off.
You can trust me, and here's evidence that you can trust me.
Correct.
Okay. Next, let's get into my buyer.
Yeah.
Right.
Now you can trust my buyer.
Right.
Because X.
Right.
Because they're pre-approved by my preferred lender.
Yeah.
Or they have 20% down. Or they have this ready. So yeah, of course, I sell myself first. I gotta make sure the listing agent trusts me that I can close a transaction, but not only that, make it smooth.
Well, I see offers exactly, and that's an important thing to think about. And while a client may not know the business well enough to understand all that little nuance, other agents do.
Oh yeah.
So you say I can make it smooth, or I say that you're trying to make certain that they believe in certainty. You sell certainty. I'm going to close. Yeah. This is going to close.
Correct.
I think it's one of the iBuyer sells features today that's given some value to iBuying, is that a seller says, well, if I take this, it's simple, it's for sure, I can count on it, I got flexibility on the way out, I can take an extra week if I need it, or 2 weeks. Those are the kinds of things that iBuyers have put on the table, and I think that that's some of the magic that we have to get buyers to put in their deals today. How are you going to make them know that if they take your offer, it's going to close? And if they do, and they feel it strongly, I'm seeing people who will take less money for that certainty.
It happens. It happens all the time where, you see the listing agent chose offer that the price wasn't as high, but the client was more concrete. The client had a better foundation or more down payment, or the broker was better.
Right.
But you're never going to hear that. A regular buyer or seller is never going to know what happens on the inside,
right?
How we actually communicate and we actually make the transaction happen.
It's kind of one of the challenges, right? In other words, you need to make buyers understand that so that they know you got that special skill set.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
It's part of why you went on your own and you work as a broker and trust right now.
Yeah. I made the decision in 2016 where, hey, look, it's time for me to take the next step in my career, and I think I can do this, and basically became part of the network.
And part of that was to separate just being branded with other
the other
part of the industry,
Yeah, the other part of the industry that's there. And, you still got to be respectful to everyone in the business, and you got to treat everyone equally, and you got to communicate effectively. But at times, those types of people, I want to step aside and say, hey,
it's those part-time, other gig people, as you said, and the people who are just trying it, that aren't getting educated. They're probably causing the biggest problem for you as a professional person.
They don't make it easier because there's a lot. There's how many hundreds of thousands of
You're
agents.
so nice. They don't make it easier. I'm telling you, they're the problem.
Yeah.
They're the non-ambitious brokers are the problem.
Because they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Unfortunately, they give the client incorrect information. They instruct the client. They consult the client incorrectly.
Right.
And then buyers and sellers think, hey, this is the norm.
The other thing I hear too is that you're talking to someone about a transaction, some nuance in a transaction that your expertise, has got you giving some pretty good advice. And then I hear it all the time. Well, my cousin who's got their license, last month in Oregon says this. And you want to smack your
I had
head
that happen, less than a month ago,
Right.
where I sold a property. We've been working with these clients for about 6 months. They trust me. Now they had their cousin, who's a commercial broker that's a multimillionaire, come to the home inspection. Guess how that went?
Yeah. Right.
I know it all. This is wrong. Why'd you do this? Don't do this. So there's people that have effects on buyers and sellers that unfortunately don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. How do you prep the buyers for this reality in the marketplace right now, the multiple offers and all that?
So buyer's consultation is key. Bring them to the office, sit down, which we've discussed. What material do you tell them? You tell them about the transaction, what to expect.
Right.
And if you don't have that 1 hour conversation with them, you're setting yourself up. You're cutting yourself short. You're selling yourself short. You got to have
them too.
Them too.
Yeah.
You want them to get the best deal. You want to find something for them the quickest time possible, according to the time frame.
Right.
So you want to make sure they understand how the market is and your point of view. And at the same time, you're going to understand what their point of view is for that 1 hour you're going to consult with them.
Right.
So you got to prep them, how to get pre-approved, when to get pre-approved, what to expect, talk about multiple offers. It's very common. It was 2-3 months ago for properties to sell 50 or 100,000 above list price,
right,
and appraise and close.
Right.
I've sold multiple homes this year, 100,000 over list.
Wow. So what's these buyers who, a lot of them first-time buyers even, into this marketplace, and their instinct is, well, I'm going to make an offer in this house, and you're like, hold on a second here. We've got 15 offers that we're competing against right now. This is just like foreign land.
Yeah, I have a client like that I've been working with, and they're first-time buyers in the country for 10 years, so kind of fresh, and they see the price and they want to offer that price. They think if they offer, let's say it's listed at 500, if they offer 500, they'll get it.
Right.
And you have to break it down to them and let them know that's not going to happen.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And these are the reasons why.
Right. And the problem with stuff like that is, and this is why that consultation becomes important, you have to have that discussion before they're in that situation. Because if you haven't had that discussion before they have multiple offers,
you're going to miss out on that first house.
Not only that, you lose credibility. Because now it sounds like you're acting desperate. Yeah. Well, you're going to have to pay $20,000 over, $50,000 over, or whatever, as opposed to you'll look like someone trying to be a scammer, as opposed to looking like someone who knew enough about what goes on to precondition them so they they got what you told them.
Yeah, and that's selling
That's your
the credibility.
Yeah.
Selling that credibility
Right.
from the start. You
Right.
know, having them understand that they can trust you. You know, just like I want to be an attorney, I'm an attorney for people now, just in real estate.
Right.
You know, same thing. Their interest is my best interest.
Right. Right. How have you sold any houses under list price this year?
I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Some that sit on the market for a while, you could negotiate here and there and get some money off, but there's something wrong with the property, right?
Right.
Why did it sit there for so long?
Well, I know that the cancellations are probably up maybe 10% over
I've
last
had
year.
more cancellations this year than my past 5 years put together.
Right.
And
Right.
because of loans.
Loans.
Yeah.
Primarily loans.
Primarily loans. Yeah. People, lenders.
How many do you think is what I've seen a lot of where people get in these multiple offer situations, they start competing
And
and
then
then they have a
remorse.
little remorse like, what did I
That
get
happens.
myself into?
So I prep buyers in the consultation. There's something called buyer's remorse. You know, I try to break it down to them. Like people have it buying cars or, you know, big purchases like a big TV. So it's normal.
Right.
Up front though, I make sure, hey, look, this might happen. You might get buyer's remorse, but when we're going to submit the offer, we're going to be 100% sure we want that home.
Right.
If we don't want that home, we're not going to submit on it. And then I'm going to explain through them comps and through what's going on with the market conditions to tell them this is what I recommend.
Right.
This is the price where I believe I'm going to be able to close the deal.
Right. Did you ever get involved with coaching programs? Some of the classic ones out there?
I haven't got involved with any specific coaching programs. You know, we were doing our 300K meeting, which
Right.
to me, that was coaching
Yeah.
and it was setting expectations. So I have not like Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry coaching.
Yeah, Buffini stuff. Yeah.
Buffini stuff. But
Right.
yeah, I've had mentors, I've had coaches. There's people I'm lucky enough where just like yourself, I'm surrounded with experience. You know, Jim Kavanaugh, there's always someone, you know, I've been in real estate 14, 15 years, but there's still new things till every day, every transaction, new stuff comes up.
Right.
You know?
And you mentioned Mike Anderson earlier, and he was very influential. Is he the most influential guy in your career, you think?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
He took me, I was lucky enough to hook up with him. He took me under his wing. And with the REO business, I was able to stay in business.
Right.
Stay in business and kind of figure out how the transaction goes. So at that time, I started, 5 years in business. I was doing 20, 30 deals, 30 deals a year. So it was very influential.
Well, he's a real no-nonsense guy. He's not a polished, I learned all my lines salesperson. I mean, he's cut to the chase, and real straightforward with people.
Real straightforward, and he's real fast.
Right.
He's on it.
Right.
He reacts very quickly, and aggressive.
Right.
And that's what, and that's why I get along with Mike Anderson so well.
Yeah.
Our kind of personalities are the same.
Yeah.
We're aligned. We're go-getters.
Right.
We don't, I'm not going to sit there and wait for a call. I'm going to try to go out there and get a lead or close a lead.
Right, make it happen.
Yeah. But he did teach me the foundations that I needed.
Yeah.
What hard work looks like. And then I see the fruits of his labor.
Yeah.
I see the lifestyle he has and the properties he owns and the cars and this and that and the vacations.
Right.
So he told me, hey, look, this is what you can do.
Right.
This is what you can get to.
Because you have a little bit of that, I wouldn't call you aggressive, but I would say assertive. And you're never approaching any borderline BS with people. You're just like, there it is.
I try,
be a little. You're not as soft as some people might be. You're like, cut. Here it is.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit like Mike.
Yeah.
So
was
it your nature, or did you learn from him?
I think it was a little bit about my nature.
Yeah.
And I was changed, or people taught me a lot of different things. So I kind of adapted.
Yeah.
But I believe in real estate, that's how it is. It's black and white.
Right.
There's some things where you have to negotiate, and there's some variables, but tell you the truth, it's what's on contract. The contract's black and white. So sometimes you got to be assertive. Sometimes you got to be aggressive. But there's times where I soften it up depending on the client.
Yeah.
I have a 80-year-old gentleman and a 70-year-old husband and wife right now. I sold their property.
Well, you come from strength, but not pushiness or aggressiveness.
I'm not a car salesman.
Yeah.
That I do not ever tell a client, a seller, you have to sell, a buyer, you have to buy.
Right.
I'm a consultant. I show people the property. If I see they like it, that's when my job begins.
Right.
That's when then it's my job to get them that property.
You start talking about the 70-year-old people. Be careful now.
Yeah. So, I had to soften it up a little bit, right? They're such a cute couple, but I can't be as assertive. I can't be as aggressive. I gotta, tone it down a little bit and, pick them up and drop them off and, do everything in front of them as in like, we gotta sit down and talk about disclosures.
Yeah.
And just be slower, right?
So that's interesting. It's a conscious decision here. And have you found that you have to reel that in a lot? Because I know you well enough to know that's like enthusiasm. That's what I feel from you because I know you well. That's enthusiasm. Maybe if I didn't know you as well, I might think it more aggressive. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you read in people? You go, "Ooh, I got to dial this back a little bit," or I got to.
Sometimes I don't think of myself as aggressive either in that time.
Right.
Aggressive when it comes to like consistently calling people.
Right.
You got to be aggressive.
Right.
But when you're talking to people, you gotta adapt. You gotta tone it down, and you gotta see. But enthusiastic's a good word, and that's what people see. They don't see the aggressiveness. They see that I'm happy. I'm smiling.
Yeah.
I want to be there.
Yeah, you feel positive.
Yeah.
You project a positive,
positive
kind of
mindset.
Yeah.
I believe in that.
And I think you also have a veil of empathy and softness. I understanding. I know even when you and I have had discussions about clients, things that are going on, you have a sense of empathy for people.
Yeah, I do. I do feel for people, and just like clients who are buying their first home, I understand it's a big deal, and you got to put yourself in their shoes. And I do feel for these people. It's not just I'm not in real estate just for the money or just for the paycheck. I actually do enjoy giving people the keys and having them start their lives in a new home. That's probably the best part.
And in 15 years now, you've got clients coming back to you now.
Yeah.
And you've had a chance to see people that they've made money because you helped them with the investment and so forth. That's pretty satisfying, huh?
Yeah.
And friends, some friends probably.
And they become friends.
Yeah.
And clients, the best clients end up becoming friends.
Right.
And they call you back and, they have that property and they see the value that's increased and they buy another property and that most of my clients come back to me.
Yeah, you're great at that. If I had to summarize as someone who didn't know you, what I perceive to be your success would be that sense of, like you said, enthusiastic, happy, making things happen, that assertiveness, not pushy, assertive, and your care, your empathy for people. I mean, that's the way I feel you and see you.
I think that's a good, good couple words, adjectives to describe me.
Yeah, and your success and why you've been successful. So somewhere along the line, we talk about mindset in real estate with some of these shows that we've done so far, and awareness. Being really honest with yourself is one of the hard things for people to swallow sometimes. And people often need to hear things that no one will tell them, right? Like, oh my gosh, you got to stop doing this, or you got to take a shower, or you got to something, right? Brush your teeth. But so there are things like that we all see in people. And for someone to really move forward in their career, they've got to really be honest with themselves. They've got to start by saying, man, if you see something, tell me. I'll even do that today. So what's not happening here? Tell me if, in fact, Christopher, who is producing these shows, I say, Christopher, be honest.
Yeah, be honest.
Don't listen. I'm not thin skinned. I don't want you to, tiptoe around something that's a serious problem.
No, if it's a serious problem in real estate, my mentors that see it, they give me feedback, or, the people I'm training, that I see why aren't these people, like, what's wrong? Why aren't they closing deals? And that's part.
So if you had, that was my question was, have you had anyone ever say something that just really hurt you, but you were really glad they had the guts to tell you?
Not off the top of my head, nothing specifically I can think about.
Yeah.
That kind of rattled me that drastically.
Right.
But I do, I sometimes get like.
I bet you know people that you'd like to say something like that, that they would benefit by.
No, but there's people that have said like, hey, I get a feeling you're a know-it-all, or I get a feeling you're arrogant, or you're conceited. That does come up sometimes, and
right.
you got to kind of look at the picture and see what happens.
So friends have said that?
Yeah, friends or this or that, or or I pick on people a little too much. I'm a little bit of a jokester, so I like picking on people sometimes. All in nice nature, but there's characteristic flaws.
Part of your environment again.
Yeah. Well, part of what I do and part of who I am, and I'm a jokester. I like joking, and sometimes it's not the right time to joke.
Right.
So that's come up.
But did Mike ever say to us an example of Hosep, you got to stop doing talking too much, or you got to stop? No.
We've had instances where we called diarrhea of the mouth.
Yeah.
Where you talk yourself out of a listing. That's happened a couple times where he's pointed out to me like, hey, don't do that. You had the listing in your hand. Why do you keep on talking? If it's closed, put the contract in front of them and have them sign. You're done.
It's kind of what's been hard about real estate. On one hand, you do have to sell, and you do have to learn how to sell. Like you said, when to stop, when to start, so forth. And it's sort of unfortunate that you have to think about being good at that while you're thinking about how do I just really do a good job for people. And sometimes they feel conflicting in a way, right? You're selling on one hand to get the business, but then at the same time you really have to be empathetic. You're not selling like you said earlier.
I don't in real estate. I don't ever think that I'm selling. I'm probably selling myself more than anything else.
Right.
But after they understand and they buy into me, at that point it's a little bit easier. But I don't think real estate's like you have to close. It's not a hard close.
Right.
It's a soft close, if anything.
Right.
Sometimes if they like the property and they can't make that step, you got to push them a little bit. Or if the properties, they can get it for $520 and they offered $510, hey, guess what? For $10,000, you can get that property. Yeah, you got to close them on that.
Right.
Of course.
Right.
That's where your sales come in, but that's not a hard close. That's just having them understand.
I remember when I first got in the business, I during college, I was doing some vacuum cleaner sales and door-to-door selling and stuff from my whole life, really. And I remember that sell thing was always there. But when I got into real estate, the two most productive people that I knew in real estate was a lady named Doris Jones and one named Helen Trebecki. Helen was up in the North Valley, Doris in the South Valley. And the thing that taught me so much is when I met these people, they couldn't sell ice water to someone in the desert. They just couldn't sell anything. But they were the most classy women. And when they walked into a room, they owned.
You see?
They owned the environment.
So there was that effect.
Yes.
They weren't a seller, but you felt that. When they walked into a room, you knew they were there.
That's right.
So that's kind of, top producers do have that.
They both have a presence.
Yep.
They both had a presence. And it came from kind of what we started the conversation with. When, first of all, they dressed the part. And they didn't have to say a word because everything about their aura said a lot.
Yeah.
And this is why you get back to this thing about TV. You got the guys that are doing these TV newscasts and things like that. If they were sitting there in, holy T-shirts, you'd be going,
I don't listen
to this guy. They're hard enough to believe nowadays anyway. But
classy is a very important word you say. I think classy is a good way to describe real estate. And you got to always keep it classy. Real estate's not, there's a lot of ups and downs and there's a lot of dirt that goes in between transactions. But classy is a very good way to describe it. They were very classy. Very classy.
And again, they had this aura of credibility that was just mind-boggling. That was always really important to me. And I think... So 15 years now, you've been doing this, and you look at me, I'm almost 30 years older than you. You got to think, what an old fart.
No.
But when do you see, how do you see unwinding this thing? Are you going to do this for another 30 years like me?
I hope not. Well, I always want to be in real estate because I think I'm just, I'm going to be in real estate the rest of my life. That's just who I am now, right? But I don't want to be in the transactional, 10 years from now, let's say. For example, I want to be at different areas of real estate. Let it be into investing, let it be into building, developing, different aspects of it. But I'm going to be in real estate my whole life.
Right. So you don't really, it's not that you don't see yourself doing it as much, because that's what I would have said the same thing. When I was your age, I'd go, when I'm that guy's age, I won't be doing it. But then you get here and you go, why not?
Well, time flies.
This is what I know. And the difference is that it doesn't seem like it, but from 40 to now, I learned more than I learned, my first 40 years of life. It's like you keep learning and it keeps you excited and you keep, so that's me personally.
Like Mike Anderson, for example. Yeah. He's been wanting to retire. He's been telling me for the past 5 years, hey, Hosep, I don't want to do this anymore. Hosep, I don't want, you're going to take over the business. You're going to take over the business.
Right.
And he still gets that, I see it in his eyes where he gets a listing and he's very excited.
Yes.
At 75, like he's a 30-year-old.
Right.
So,
right.
I hope I have that much, enthusiasm at that time.
And that's kind of the advice I like to give people is just like, don't plan to be out of the business. Don't plan on being out of this. Sort of like you can plan to do other things. Yeah. You can plan to incorporate other stuff into it, but it just gets easier. Usually,
this is the foundation.
Yeah.
Even whatever I do, it's going to be based off of real estate, off of what I already started.
Right. Right. Exactly. All right. So then, what's next for you?
What's next for me? I have big goals. I do want to get to the next level, and like you're saying, icon agents, right? I want to be one day referred to as an icon agent, a 7-figure agent, an agent that does 50 transactions plus a year.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm striving towards.
Right. Well, you're close.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Yeah. Very close. So you've also spent a little bit of time in the associations. You've done some volunteer work.
Correct. I do.
That's kind of unusual about people that are doing your kind of business.
I was organized real estate. I was lucky enough. Lynn Blumberg was someone who, unfortunately, rest her soul, she passed away. But she pushed me into organized real estate, and it's good.
Learn a little bit.
Yeah, it's good to see the big picture, and it's good, to go there and talk to people who have a lot of experience, people who are very knowledgeable. So I take it as, hey, look, I'm going to do business and I want to be aggressive and I want to hit one more transaction, but I have to give back, I have to volunteer, and at the same time, I'm learning.
Right.
So you're always learning. Like you said, you learn more from 40 to 70 than you did from 20 to 40.
Right.
So, and I believe that. So I try to learn as much as I can.
Right. So I asked a lot of the other people. I didn't warn you. I should have preconditioned you for this a little bit. But I'm always interested in the weird stories. Is there one strange thing that happened? One, you're sitting at the house and a ghost came and patted you on the back, or a client had a baby while you're
nothing that crazy. But I just did have an interesting transaction where about 6 months ago I was closing escrow on a transaction. It was all cash, and 2 days before the close, the unit flooded.
Oh yeah.
They had a pipe burst. The unit flooded. Well, now almost 6 months after, guess what? I sold the unit above.
Oh, you did.
The unit that flooded the other unit, I sold that.
I see. Got it.
So now I'm still going to get the other unit.
Right.
But just a coincidence. Weird stuff that happens. Real estate, you can never plan for it. It's just crazy. There's so many variables that go into it.
Yeah.
But that's the craziest thing I can think of off the top of my head right now.
Well, listen, I appreciate you spending the time very much. Love you, man. You know that. And this is Ambitious Broker, and I hope you enjoyed Hosep Stepanian. And this is a superstar. And
Pleasure
reach out to this guy.
Thank you.
So anyway, thank you all very much.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Ambitious Broker Podcast, where elite real estate professionals share their secrets to success, discuss topics impacting their industry, and gain professional development insights. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please rate it and leave a review.